Hi, this is Joel Crim with Law Offices of Shipman Crim. What this is designed to do is to be an entry into a series of blog entries that have to do with legal issues and a lot of routine questions that come up in dealing with legal issues. Focus today is criminal, and the big question that is asked most often in terms of someone being arrested is, well, they didn't read me my Miranda rights. Does that invalidate the arrest? And I believe a lot of people ask this question because in American culture we've seen time and time again people that are actually guilty of a certain offense, and through a technicality, as some call it, it's actually a constitutional infraction, but convictions are overturned, evidence is excluded so a jury does not hear it, and Miranda applies to that. However, Miranda does not apply to every arrest. Miranda focuses essentially on your Fifth Amendment right to not give evidence against yourself. That is a guarantee in the United States Constitution, as well as Article 1, Section 9 of the Tennessee Constitution. So the purpose of Miranda essentially is to inform you that you have the right to remain silent, and also informs you that anything you say can and will be used against you in court. That is, to prove that you're guilty. Let's think about this is such a serious right, that is your right to not give evidence against yourself, that before police talk to you, and when you're in custody, that they have to tell you that, listen, you don't have to talk to us, and as a matter of fact, anything that you do say to us is we're going to use against you to prosecute you in court. Now, again, it's important to know when Miranda applies. Miranda applies only to statements that you make that incriminate you. For example, a confession, admitting you're guilty of a crime, or admitting facts that would tend to make it more likely that you're guilty of something. So the police only have to advise you of your Miranda warnings, one, when you're in custody, and two, when they are asking you questions. So if anyone's ever watched law enforcement shows like Cops, they know that all the time, or most of the time, as soon as the cuffs go on someone, the police read them their Miranda rights. Okay? They do that because, again, Miranda warnings apply when you're in custody and when you're being asked questions. So it's just routine for police to read people their Miranda rights when they cuff them, because that's when they're in custody. Now, the fact that an officer didn't read you your Miranda rights may not matter at all. If you don't give any statements that are against your own interest or anything that shows you're guilty, then their arrest is still valid. If an officer makes an arrest on probable cause. So the mere fact that Miranda was not read to you in your particular case doesn't mean that the arrest is invalid. Miranda, again, only applies to statements that you make that are against your interests, that is, that tend to show that you're guilty of an offense. Now, a lot of times, in kind of viewing the psychology behind making statements, is, I think in general life, if someone accuses you of something, or if you've ever accused someone of doing something, we all know that if you remain silent, then that's almost like you acquiesce that you're guilty. If you were to accuse your significant other of cheating, and they didn't either vehemently deny it or give you a rational response for why they did what they did, just as human beings, you would believe that they're guilty. And I believe that's why a lot of people, while after even being told that you don't have to talk to us, and as a matter of fact, anything you tell us, it's going to be used against you. It cannot benefit you. People are still, even, with those really significant warnings, they still talk to the police. I believe that that is because people believe that if they don't respond to allegations, then it implies that they're guilty. Well, in the law, your Fifth Amendment right to remain silent is held with such high regard and so important that if you say, listen, okay, I don't want to talk to you. And as a matter of fact, I know you're accusing me, I know you're saying I did this wrongdoing, but I'm not going to talk to you. In a subsequent prosecution for a crime, the government, that is a prosecuting attorney, cannot argue that, hey, listen, this guy's guilty, or otherwise he would have spoken to the police. Not addressing criminal allegations is essentially evidence inconsistent with innocence. The prosecutor can't say anything like that. They can't even touch the fact that you were given the opportunity to speak and that you invoked your Fifth Amendment rights. So, while in your normal course of life, if someone accuses you and you don't respond to all those allegations, they're going to believe that you're guilty. But if you choose to exercise your right and not speak with the police, that can't be argued against you ever in court. Now, again, understand this, that the police already think you're guilty, or else they wouldn't want to talk to you. So, I hope that explains a little bit what the point of Miranda is. The fact that just because your Miranda rights weren't read to you does not invalidate your arrest. If you were to give a confession and those rights were not read to you, then you could attack that evidence in court and hopefully get it suppressed so it's not shown to a jury. But you don't have to talk to the police. And if you don't talk to the police, they can't later say, hey, we gave this individual the opportunity to talk to us, and he refused. So, not only is it okay for you to not talk with the police, but the fact that you didn't cannot be shown as evidence that you have something to hide.